Hi. As you know, I am doing a series of videos for folks who are non-native English speakers who are sitting at home right now, working maybe online, doing courses, and who aren't getting quite as much English in as maybe they do in a normal classroom setting. One of the things I often talk to my students about is English in is one of those, the concept that there's a lot of English constantly being spoken around you when you're studying in a English speaking country like the United States, which is where I happen to be. And so what happens is that you have all of this English coming in through your ears, and it helps you to maintain your fluency. It helps you to maintain your English. When you're in a classroom, this is really common, right? The teacher's constantly speaking in English, the students around you are speaking in English. As you're going to class, as you're leaving class, as you go to the library, as you have lunch, all of those things add all of the English in. Unfortunately, right now, for many of our non-native English speakers, English in is a bit of a problem. For some of you, you've gone home and maybe you're studying from your parents' living room and no one in your household speaks English. For some of you, you're isolated in an apartment or a dorm somewhere and you're the only person. And so all of your English is reading, it's visual, and maybe you're not interacting as much as you were just a couple of weeks ago. And so I'm doing a series of various things. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about idioms. Idioms are those things that I always tell my students are kind of like a key. They're like a special key that unlocks English in yet another way. So no matter how much studying you've done in English, once you get here, sometimes you're like, they're speaking this whole other language I didn't study. And part of that is because of idioms. It's because we speak in these sort of weird metaphors that everybody understands because we all have the same sort of cultural understanding of them, but they're not taught necessarily in a traditional grammar book. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about idioms about rain. It's a little bit cloudy outside today. It's been kind of rainy on and off, although yesterday there was a little sneaky snow in there too. But rain is one of those things that we actually have a lot of idioms that surround them, right? And so a couple of them. So one of those is with things that we often say is, oh, come rain or shine, okay? Something's going to happen, come rain or shine. Sometimes that's literal. Okay, sometimes it actually means, hey, you know, we're going to have this event, come rain or shine, which means whether it's raining or whether the sun is shining. Okay, so that's a very like literal translation of that. Rain or shine can also be metaphorical, right? It can mean we're going to do this come rain or shine, which means whether it's an easy thing or a hard thing. Okay, like, so we're going to do this whether it's simple or there are difficulties attached. Most frequently, though, this is one of those times that we mean it literally. Whether it's raining or whether it's sunshiny, the event will take place. This is often common with outdoor events. Save it for a rainy day, okay? This is very metaphorical, okay? This is when you are maybe putting back some money or you're saving a special treat. And when we mean for a rainy day, in this case, it's very metaphorical for hard times, for a day that is dreary, for a time when you need to be cheered up, or like, for instance, this actual situation that we're in right now, people would say that maybe I don't need to buy any peanut butter because I already had some stocked up. I've been saving it for a rainy day, and this is a rainy day. We don't mean literal rain. We mean an event like this, right? A time, a specific time when things are maybe not great. Right as rain. This is a little archaic, I would say, at this point. I don't think a lot of people say that as much anymore as maybe they did 20, 30 years ago. But basically, somebody will say, how you doing? Right as rain, okay? Just means like you're fine, right? Like it's just as normal, right? A normal situation. Right as rain is kind of a normal. Into each life some rain must fall. This is a little troublesome as an idiom, okay? It gets identified as an idiom sometimes, but it's really more of like a saying or a proverb, but it is very metaphorical, okay? So we might say, you're doing terrible, in this class, which none of you are, right? Let's say that it was me taking a class and I was doing terrible in the class. which could happen, especially depending on the class. And somebody might say, well, you know, it's going to be okay. Into each life, a little rain must fall. Okay. It means that sometimes there are hard times, but there's sort of an implied notion that this too shall pass. To rain on someone's parade. Okay. This actually gets used maybe colloquially more in some pockets, some communities. I think it was used probably more widely at some point, but now maybe less widely. So here's how I might use this sentence, okay? I might say, oh my gosh, I'm really excited about this thing. And maybe my kid will be like, don't be lame, Mom. Ugh. And I'll be like, hey, don't rain on my parade, right? It means that I'm having a good time and somebody else is kind of bringing me down. I just use an idiom to describe an idiom, which I'm really bad about. It might mean somebody else is trying to make me like not as excited about it, maybe make me feel kind of bad about it, or maybe be like, you know, they're not excited, so they don't see the point. And I would say, you're raining on my parade, right? The parade is the metaphorical part. The rain is the metaphorical part. But they basically mean that you are saying something negative that's making my positive feel less positive. All right. When it rains, it pours. This one feels really appropriate right now. So when it rains, it pours basically means that when a little something bad happens, sometimes a lot of something bad happens. And so basically it's kind of like, you know, when you're having that day and things aren't going so great and you realize that you've run out of coffee filters, and you're like, that's okay, I can maybe make do with something. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I've run out of coffee too. And then you're like, oh my gosh, this is the worst. I don't have any coffee. I don't have any coffee filters. And it turns out that your favorite coffee shop is closed. Okay. When it rains, oh no, I didn't have coffee filters. It pours. I have no coffee. I have no coffee shop. And now, one that's really common is that comes up in a lot of idiom, sort of like if you're Googling idioms, or one of the most common idioms that gets noted is raining cats and dogs. This is actually not something that Americans use a ton in conversation, right? Again, it's a little older. Maybe we don't use it as much. But somebody might say, oh my gosh, it's raining cats and dogs out there. Obviously, we don't mean that literally. There are not cats and dogs falling from the sky. But what we do mean by that is it's raining a lot. It's pouring down rain. Lots of rain. Again, you're probably not going to hear that one as much as some others, but it's one that I guess is like kind of commonly thought of as a rain metaphor. Not a rain metaphor, an idiom surrounding rain. And then I'm going to actually give you a couple that are sort of rain adjacent, okay? Sort of not about rain, but kind of. And one of them is there's a storm coming, okay? Somebody say, ooh, there's a storm coming, right? We might mean that literally. There is a storm that is coming. We can hear the thunder in the distance. But a storm coming is actually a metaphor for something bad is about to happen, right? Or there's something, maybe not even bad, maybe something just sort of like troubling or disturbing is coming, right? So that's a kind of a metaphorical usage that is in really common use. Lots of books get named that, or there's some piece of that in a book, you know, phrase, a title. So it's fairly commonly utilized. The other two are about clouds, which I think have to do with rain, so we're going to go over those two. One is to have your head in the clouds. Occasionally you will hear somebody say this. More commonly, maybe people who are over a certain age would say this. But to have your head in the clouds, okay, so you might say, boy, that person really has their head in the clouds. Basically means that they're not really thinking about reality or logic, common sense right now. And they're maybe daydreamy in general as a person, right? That they aren't really thinking about very practical things, that maybe they're more of a dreamer. So it's not necessarily a negative exactly, but it can often be used in a negative sort of way. And then the last one that I'm going to tell you, because I want to end this on a little bit of a more cheerful note than all this rain, and storms, is to be on cloud 9. Okay, again, slightly archaic, but it gets used enough, especially in like, kind of like, I'm not going to say it to you, but you're going to see it in weird, like, sort of like other ways, I guess. Um, it makes me think of, there's a television show where there's a lot of these sort of references that invoke that. But to be on cloud nine means that you're incredibly happy about something. So I might say, somebody might say, oh my gosh, your poem got published in this journal. How are you feeling? And be like, I'm on cloud nine. I'm so excited. So that would be the way that would be, used. Or, oh, wow, that person's really happy. They're really on cloud nine. I heard they got a scholarship, right? Usually we use it because we know why someone's happy. Not just say, oh, wow, that person looks like they're on cloud nine. Not so much. So anyway, while you're sitting at home, anytime you have a chance, listen to various things in English, pick up a little bit of extras. Idiom is nice because, we use them a lot. And make sure that you're getting a lot of that English in that we're talking about. So English in the ears. You know what I always say. If you know me, I say, listen to music, watch television. Do not put the subtitles on outside of English. Put them on in English if you want, but don't put them on in your native language. Listen to podcasts. Listen to, at this point, guys, listen to TikTok. I don't care. Right? Just get as much of that English in as you possibly can because you're losing it by being at home. So if you have questions and you know me, you can shoot me a message. If you have questions about something, I will look at comments. So I will do my best to check out those as well. And I hope that you all have a great day. Bye-bye.